sparkly. It's shiny. What do they do? Hi, Zizaran here. I'm going to talk to you about influence bases, which ones you should be picking up and keeping, and which ones you should be influencing with Harvest, and what they do. So all of these like different backgrounds on the items, that basically means that they can roll different things. There are like item level requirements as well, and make sure for this episode that you have in the options user interface, advanced mod descriptions enabled. All of these items can roll stuff that a normal item couldn't. And we can see like what things can roll by opening up poedb.tw, and that has like loads and loads of information for us. So which ones are worth keeping, and why should your stash not look like this? Now, if you're playing on solo self-on like I am, there's a lot of benefit to keeping a large amount of base types, but this can also like fuck up your inventory and just take a lot of space. The reason why you would want to do it's less important now, but the reason why you would want to do this is because of Awaken Orbs. With Awaken Orbs, you only need to have one good base, and you can merge two items together. Like, as long as I have Sorcerer Boots here, I could have, or Sorcerer Gloves here, I could have, like, taken, like, a shitty Redeemer Glove, and this would be a Sorcerer Glove with Hunter and Redeemer, right? So then it can become beneficial to just have something that, like, you don't care about the base type. Talk a little bit about the most important ones to pick up. So generally a good rule of thumb is pretty much anything that's influenced that's like a rare drop or a special drop is pretty much always worth keeping. I would say like bone helmets, two-tone boots, marble amulets, anything like that, and steel rings, opal rings, anything like that with influence. That's like a very, very easy thing to keep because you're pretty much like never going to find it. In a lot of bases, you really want to keep like the best types. So for example, Val Regalia is the best chest piece for energy shield builds, right? And then you have Sadist Garb is the best for hybrid. So if you're doing Trickster and you want to do CI builds, you want to use the Sadist Garb. And how do you find out every single base type? Well, generally the wiki is pretty good. If I Google PoE armor and go to the armor equipment, you can, for example, go to body armor. Here, we'll see that, you know, generally the bottom one is for the most part the best. In this case, obviously Astral is nicer. You lose 60 armor, but you get an implicit. So look out for that as well. And here on the Val Regalia, we can see we're getting 13 more energy shield than anything else. This is the same as an Astral, but obviously here it's not worth 10% increased spell damage. As a nice rule of thumb for like good bases, you keep like Val Regalias and Astral Plates. Titanium Spirit Shields, really, really good. People like Fossilized Spirit Shields as well because they do have the 20% increased spell damage, so that's good for life builds. Then you have Sorcerer Boots, Titan Greaves, Titan Gauntlets, Hubris Circlet, Sorcerer Gloves, Sorcerer Boots. Like, those are like the main things that you want to keep. Now, for life builds, the base type is a lot less important than for energy shield builds. Because for life builds, you don't most of the time care that much if it's armor, evasion, or energy shield. It's nowhere near as important as it is for an energy shield build. For an energy shield build, you really need it to be, you need it to be a Val Regalia, you need it to be Sorcerer Gloves and Sorcerer Boots, and you'll notice a big effective HP decrease if you're not using like the best base type. Whereas for an armor build, like sure, it is nice to get like an extra 100 to 300, maybe 400 armor, but it's not the end all be all, and your build's probably going to be able to do exactly the same stuff. So some of the number one things to like pick up and keep, pretty much any Shaper Shield is very, very useful. Obviously Titanium Spirit Shield will have like a large price increase, which that's the shield I'm using on my Instacker. But pretty much any, and the easiest way to find them is to search for block. But like even a Fossilized Spirit Shield that's shapered, that's still really good for a life build because you can roll life on block and it has like really nice spell damage and okay energy shield. Hunter boots are really, really good. Now, obviously, if you can get that on two-tone boots, that's like way better for a life build. Hunter is where you roll the Tailwind mod, which I think I have a Tailwind boot here that I can show. So this is a pretty okay Tailwind boot. Sadly, this will have like 90 life and only 20 MS, but it is pretty good. Tailwind is one of the more like sought after things for influence. Now we have harvest crafting at the moment, and tags are really important. This is one of the harder ones to roll because it doesn't have a tag. Obviously, I've made some harvest videos in the past where I show how to guarantee the explosion mod on a chest. I have like 4 or 5 on SSF, and that's very easy. And this brings us into another thing. Keep pretty much every item level 85 Crusader chest. They're very easy to roll the explosion on. I do have a way to guarantee it, but also it's a nice thing to just like, if you don't have anything good to use your fist rolls on, explosion chest could be a good thing to passively roll on that. Pretty much any influence-based helmet, once it's item level 85, that's when they get like the enemies nearby gets the minus resistance. So they're pretty good to keep. Now, obviously, it is worth like browsing a little bit, keeping an eye out for like things that could be useful for your build. And I would recommend that you do get a lot of value for looking through the influence mods on PoEDB. Do remember that things like fracturing or synthesizing an item does count as an influence. It doesn't work with awaken orbs, but for example, this one is fractured. So if I chaos spam this, it's going to be 30% movement speed no matter what, right? Or a deafening greed. But that also means that I can't get hunter, shaper, etc. And if it was synthesized, like for example this one, it can't get fractured, and it can't get hunter, shaper, etc. I'd say it's pretty much worth keeping, like any ring base, any amulet base. A lot of them, especially amulets, get a lot better at 82. 75 is normally enough for rings, but amulets get like +1 gem levels, etc. at level 82. That is very worth keeping. Elder weapons, for example, very worth keeping as well. You can see I have a couple of Karui choppers here. They get really good at item level 83. That's when you can get like the bleed mods and stuff like that. And like Merciless. Merciless is what you want there for level 83. Hunter shields are really good. A lot of people like rolling reservation on those. And again, you can see titanium spirit shields is the one we go for. And especially for chests, a little nice thing that I like to do. I always try to 6-link 1 Val Regalia, and I don't influence it. I keep it uninfluenced, and I keep this as my base. And then I use the Bestiary trick that I've showed in a few videos, where I will split with half the mods on each item, and then I'll have 2 6-link Val Regalias. Now I can influence one of them, and wow, I hit Crusader. Now I have a really good explosion chest base. I could even imprint this before influencing it with Harvest, and then if I get like, I don't want Redeemer, then I just bring it back, and now it's uninfluenced again. So that's like some really cool things you can do with Harvest and Bestiary combined. I would normally keep a list. I would make a list of like, what does my character need? And then I'll be like target influencing that. So for example, at the moment for me, that was Sorcerer Gloves. So if I search Sorcerer Glove here, you'll see that I have like a large amount of Sorcerer Gloves because I only hit 1 Elder, and it ended up as like a usable glove, but you know, I had to use that. So I couldn't keep rolling on it. And then I finally got my 2nd Elder Glove here that I'm rolling now. And I'm trying to make like a good one here. Awaken Orb would make this even easier for me, but that's obviously a pain on Soul Self-Found. Again, like keep a list for the character you have on what you need to influence. But, you know, for selling chests, Val Regalias are really good to influence for like the armor pieces, because if you do get Crusader, they're a pretty valuable base. Same with Astral. Astral chests, very popular because, you know, a lot of people use that for the resist implicit. That makes it a lot easier to gear. For weapons, there's a few things you can do. A lot of people like doing imbued ones because then you can get the hunter base. And some of the other ones are good as well for rolling, you know, like sometimes you want a warlord wand for additional like aura effect, etc. Weapons can also be used on either exquisite blades or Karui choppers or different weapons in general, just to try to get elder. Jewelry, really nice because you can do so many cool things with it. That includes you can get influence on Stygian Vices. This was initially removed because it was too strong, and now they're like, you know what, we don't care anymore. Do whatever you want. So now we can get influence Stygian Vices. Obviously insanely strong. And then you have, you could use it on like marble amulets, or you can use it on vermilion rings. Definitely, I would love to have a Shaper vermilion ring to get the Assassin's Mark on here. That would be really nice and free up a gem slot for me. So it's a lot to take in. There's a lot to do with influence types. And honestly, your first few leagues, you probably are going to be more of a hoarder than not. A lot of it does come with experience. Hopefully, like, some of this helps you give, like, more of an idea of what to take up, what not to take up. But obviously, especially for solo self-found, it is way more of a pain. So, hope this video helps some of you. It's one of the more confusing videos for sure. But I hope you guys are enjoying the league and how I am. Check out all the other like highlights and stuff. Sub if you like the videos. But more importantly, try to die less than I do.